Andy, it's our last lock. The last one.
And then we're at sea level again?
Yes, we're at sea level. Georgian Bay.
Georgian Bay sea level.
Yes. Oh, the last lock. It's special. Hello.
Hi.
Who are you? Where are we?
Port Severn Lock. Okay, let me start. Port Severn Lock 45.
What's so special about this lock?
It's the smallest lock in the system.
And you got to crank those things all the time?
Yeah.
What's with that?
It's a manual lock, so we need to crank the valves and push the sweeps in order to get boats through all day.
Are you like built at the end of it, like muscle?
Oh, I hope so.
It's like pulling the plug in a bathtub. Woo! The best part about going through a lock during a heat wave is how cool it is down here. Thanks a lot. Have a good day, guys. You too. So I just keep telling Andy to paddle and I have to film. I'm not really even filming, I just don't want to paddle. Georgian Bay, we're on Georgian Bay. And there's the 400, one of the biggest highways in Ontario.
I'm Natalie Austin. I'm a public relations officer with the Trent-Severn Waterway, Parks Canada. It's a really cool time. We've got over $615 million worth of infrastructure investment going on right now. So this is the largest investment since it was built. So you see those old pictures of families and people standing around construction with the horses and everything. We're living in that time, only with our smartphones. It was difficult to construct to start with, and there are challenges now that we have that they didn't have, and there are easier ways of doing it now than they didn't have. But the Trent-Severn differs from some other places in that it was built by communities. It was not built all at once for one specific reason. It was different locks, different sections at a time, because communities wanted to see it happen. And that's in part why it took so long, and it's in part why it's so close to people's hearts.
What's your favorite part of the system?
This personally, I grew up here, so this is home for me. So yeah, I did this as a kid and now I get to work on the lock, so I think it's pretty cool.
We do kind of three basic things here, Kevin. We mitigate flood risk through our water management operations. We also protect our Canadian heritage, so our heritage structures, and we provide uniquely Canadian tourism experiences which support the local tourism economies. So all of our structures, the dams, the locks, even the walls along here, they help us to do that. And some of them have fallen into disrepair. And this is a huge moment of infrastructure from, Port Severn to Lake Ontario, of investment rather, that, is going to help us meet those objectives again. We always say, as employees, that we have canal water running through our veins.
Just the fact that I get to actually welcome other people into what I find is home, and walk them through. I've walked people I've never met before all around the world and meet new people.
Just finished the Georgian Bay section and it was quite calm. Bit of rollers at the end there, but it was just a nice slight breeze. And I can see it getting rough, but it's all doable. all the islands out there, they're pretty low. I don't know if they're crown land, federal land, whatever, whether you can camp on there or not. I looked at the map before, and looking at the islands, you can't camp on them. They're just either too low and bushy, or they're covered in cormorant poop, and also terns that want to attack you. Lots of wildlife, actually. We saw more wildlife in the last half hour than we did the whole trip. So lots of terns, different species of terns, gulls, osprey nests, and yeah, tons and tons of things. And turtles.
My name's Tanya Clark. I'm a staff person with the Couchiching Conservancy. Wait, do you want me to look at you or look at the camera?
It doesn't matter.
We're in a number of different ecoregions. So we have the Carden-Alvar Plain, we have the Oro Moraine, we have the land between, and they're very, very vastly different. Like in this area, you have a lot of mixed forests, you have a lot of granite, Canadian Shield kind of landscape, you have a lot of different wetland complexes, very broad array of landscapes in our region. Getting out in nature is a great way to spend time with your friends and your family, and it's a great way to take time away from your busy jobs and get off your cell phone and reconnect with yourself. And nature provides a lot to people, and it depends on who you are, but some people it provides a real sense of calm and relaxation, and other people it provides them with a lot of fun, and particularly water. There's real joy that people receive from the water in our region. What do I get out of it? I love solo paddling, and for me it's really that calm, and that's that consistent paddle stroke. If it's a nice day on the river, I just can disconnect from everything else and listen to the birds singing and the branches moving in the wind, and it's a great time away. So the Conservancy's been around for 25 years. It was founded by a small group of people that were sitting around a kitchen table, and they were watching in their community places that they love and care about were being destroyed, and they had this real problem, like how do you protect the places that you care about as an individual citizen? And so 25 years ago they started this organization with the mission to protect nature for future generations, and that's what they've been doing ever since. They've been working to acquire land, whether it be like a wetland or it be a forest or an alvar, and then just like working to make sure that it's here forever, so that people that visit the Orillia and Ontario Lake Country, they have places that they can go and walk the trails or paddle the rivers, and make sure it's here forever.
Now we're heading, I guess, up the North River towards Coldwater. We go up the North River and make it right up the Coldwater Creek, and yeah, we're getting close to the end. I don't know, what are we going to do with ourselves?
Turn around and go back.
Yeah, let's do it again. Yeah, this is an awesome trip. The idea was to document over a dozen day trips that the Ontario Lakes Country Tourism Region has. They do an amazing job to have places for people to go paddling, stand-up boarding, kayaking, canoeing. And when Chris asked me to document them for Actually Explore magazine, I said absolutely, but what if I do them all together as one? So I did. So I went down the Black River, up the Green River, across Lake Couchiching, down the Trent-Severn Waterway through its 4 locks, which was really cool, and then through a section of Georgian Bay, then up the North River, then up the Cold Creek. And yeah, I think I did all the day routes except one. And it's a great place to paddle. Amazing, and really close to Toronto. I'm talking not even a 2-hour drive. And you can do what we just did. Awesome! I love being out here.
We're at Kayaking in Severn. This is our central distribution headquarters. We are the distributor for Canada for a line of kayaks made by a company called Winter Kayaks. In this area, I would have to say it's a combination of variety and proximity. So in terms of variety, you have larger bodies of water, such as Georgian Bay or Lake Simcoe, even Couchiching, but you also have smaller flatwater lakes that are very quiet. Some don't have any motorized traffic at all. That combined with a wide variety of rivers, be it the Green River, the Black River, the Severn, Tons of places to paddle up here, and the proximity to larger population bases, be it the GTA, Barrie, or surrounding areas.
This is a very nice place. This is the big bay before the North River. It's just past the 400 highway where actually the Swift store is. We just passed that. And yeah, it's just surrounded by just, I wouldn't call it marsh, it's more like a fen, isn't it? Like it's all sedge grass. And must be good fishing. There's a lot of people fishing. There's a lot of people stand-up boarding here too, and kayaking, whatever. There's no development all around us, even though we're by the main highway. And it's just because nature itself, well, it's all lowland. Nobody's going to build something here. So, man, there's tons of wildlife. I got us lost. Well, not lost, just confused over whereabouts. We're going up to try to find the entrance of the North River at Catfish Bay. And yeah, I took the wrong side of the marshy bit. So now we got to go all the way around again. Oh well. Sorry, Andy.
Navigation happens.
He had all the maps up until this area, and then he goes, "Okay, Kevin, it's time for you to navigate." I got us lost. I mean, no, I've always wanted to check this side of the bay out. Our last little bit here, we're going up Coldwater Creek to the town of Coldwater. This last stretch, I really like it. I'm so glad we ended like this. The North River and the Cold Creek, there's just nothing except cattails and birds and wildlife and turtles and fish. And yeah, it's good. Really good. Awesome! Just before Coldwater, it's beautiful. It'd make a really nice fall trip, full of willow, lowland, just massive trees. Like, I don't know what that tree is ahead of us, Andy, but that's like older than you.
Yeah, it looks like an oak.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for leaving my car in good hands, Chris, my shuttle driver from Ontario Lakes Country Tourism. And yeah, we're done. Woo-hoo! In the town of Coldwater. It's a nice town. You ready? Woo-hoo! Yeah, we gotta go get Andy's car at Sparrow Lake and drive home. Give us hugs and kisses to everybody. It was a really good trip. That was a really good idea, Chris, actually. Putting all those canoes together into one. I had an amazing time. Yeah!
Who are you? Who am I? My name is Corey Snake. In our language, I'm known as Gnu, which means golden eagle. I'm a band member of Rama First Nation, and I was born and raised here in this beautiful community of Rama. I'm a paddler, yeah, flat water, whitewater, sea kayaker. Been an outdoor guide instructor for about 15 years in a lot of different capacities. Paddle around here. I do the Head River runs. I do the Black River runs, Lake Couchiching. A lot of local rivers that are really hidden gems for a lot of great paddle routes. Yeah, a lot of whitewater routes as well, which is nice to see. For our community of Rama, the way our people used to use it is traditionally our people came into this area early 1600s throughout warfare with our enemies known as the Nottowag Wars against the Five Nations. We came to settle here in this territory, and we used to use the Black River typically as what we'd call a spring river. So our people would use it as a river we'd use to access our trap lines, our hunting grounds. But typically it was ran in the spring with high water. We'd use it to access our territories on the Muskokas. There was a portage that you could use to access Lake Muskoka, the bottom of Lake Muskoka, to the Black River. So it's very, very important in our history. And you can get all the way to Georgian Bay along from the Black River. So it's nice to see, and travel all the way north of Minden all the way down. Yeah, a lot of hidden gems, which is really nice to see. It's growing in popularity as a paddle route. The Severn River was was one of our main routes of our territory. So the Severn River traditionally for the Anishinaabe people, the Ojibwe people in this territory, was used as the main connector to Georgian Bay. So if you were traveling north or south in Ontario before they had cars and things like that in Yonge Street, you would have to go through, you'd have to paddle down and either take the 9-mile portage at Barrie that would lead you to the Nottawasaga, or most people would take the Severn River. That was an obvious paddle route. They'd go through Lake Couchiching, take the Severn River all the way to Port Severn in Georgian Bay, and they would access it that way. There's also a land trail that would parallel the river along its route as well. In the portage route for our people from Rama, they would go up the Severn and they would portage at, they called it Morrison's Portage. It would lead to Morrison's Lake. They would hop off the Severn, go to Morrison Lake, and then hop into where Boston Peace is in Gravenhurst, and that's where they'd hit the lake again. So that was one of our main corridors of travel, and then all the families would go to their hunting grounds up in the Muskokas. And in our language, Muskoka means red earth. It comes from Musquaque, and Musquaw is something that's red, that's alive, and Ke is the earth in our language.
What about Couchiching? What's the name of that? Because it was many winds?
It's rumored to be many winds. So that was popularized by the famous poet from Aurelia, whose name's slipping me right now, sorry. But what it means is it comes from our word of gwujijing, and it means something comes in from the outside. So gwujing is outside. Like if I'm outside, I'd say, oh, gwujijing deoma, like I'm standing outside, I'm here outside. But what it references is the narrows, so the Atherley Narrows. So that word is repeated everywhere. So even up north, there's communities called Couchiching First Nation, different and other Anishinaabe communities. And it all comes from our word for narrows, essentially. Yeah. So that before the narrows in Atherley was dredged, our people would actually have to portage at Smiths Bay and Lake Simcoe and go to Portage Bay on Lake Couchiching, just to the west of the narrows at the Atherley Narrows. Yeah. So in our language, we did have a word for the Severn River. And what it means is the river is really circular, like a lot of bends, and it's really circular in our language. And I can't remember the name of it. It's really hard to pronounce, and it's very long. And there used to be a lot of portage along that route as well, like Severn Falls and so on and so forth. So there's a great read by Elizabeth Simcoe, who is John Graves Simcoe's wife, who traveled with him in 1793 to go to Penetanguishene, and he took that portage. He went down the Severn River, and she describes it in her journal about that journey, and it's a pretty nice description of that route. The North River, the way our people used to utilize it was a secondary portage route. It used to have a way heavier flow because there's a lot of farming along the river. It's very small now in size. Previously, the North River flows from the Coldwater River down into Bass Lake, which also has Bass Lake Provincial Park. Our people would portage from McCarthy Bay all the way to Bass Lake, and then they would hit the North River and they would connect with the Coldwater River. So the Coldwater River, in our language, we call it Todzibe, which means the river that's cool to the touch, and hence the name in English of Coldwater. And Coldwater is actually the first ever reserve in Canada's history as well. And our people from Rama were a part of that. They called it the Coldwater Experiment, and our people used to live there at one point. This region is a hidden mecca. For paddlers, it's starting to grow in popularity. You see the Barrie Canoe Kayak Club here a lot. In the last 15 years, I've seen, from seeing paddlers rare on the river to, 40, 50 paddlers in a day. It's really a hidden gem, close to the GTA, which is great. Easily accessible. You could drive up in a day and do the Head River and the Black River runs and head back home. A lot of great wildlife. It's not uncommon to see otter to beaver to muskrats, even moose and deer along the routes. Kingfishers are around, ospreys, even bald eagles are starting to make an appearance, even the odd golden eagle. And sandhill cranes as well along the route. I've ran into skinks as well along the shoreline, along the rocks. It really is a hidden gem and great to explore. The flatwater sections are great for families to run too. It's not difficult, family friendly. I have 2 daughters. I take them down. They're 3 years old and 1 year old, and it's great. Yep.
Now, I know in Ojibwe is miigwech
or thank you, right? But it's different for you.
No, miigwech is right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, miigwech is right. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you. Thanks for interviewing me.